Hello and welcome to the Hassel Conference, everybody. Thank you for taking time to stop by my poster. My name is Sanjukta Chatterjee, and I'm going to introduce my poster. It is an analysis of evolution and of informal settlements in New Delhi, and I have a set of diagrams and that explain and tables that certainly explain their evolution and how resilient they become over time to recreate the city. My research question perhaps is very simple, is what do informal cities do to the existing urban fabric in this city particularly? Therefore, I'm using complex adaptive system theory to analyze the resilience and evolution of informal settlements in New Delhi and finding out what this type of a rapid urbanization changes in the structural framework of these informalities, and that ends up changing the entire structure of the city. Here we have a map of the National Capital Territory of New Delhi, and that is showing the percentage of slum population. It's color coded for you to make it easy to read, and the red patches are the most populated ones, and that's more than the national average of slum population. So that talks a lot about the middle of the city where there's most of the businesses, and we have a central business district model. So a lot of urbanization happened right in the middle over here, as you can see. And the same thing over here, if we notice carefully, there's another red patch between the different yellow patches. It is extremely interesting as to why that happened. It is because of relocation of particular slums from the center towards the periphery of the city that has created the rest of the patches, making this one very dense eventually. So this from here to here, eventually that is evolution. And through caste theory, we can track this evolution and see what it's doing for the city. This is a table that I've summarized the different types of informal settlements over here. There's unauthorized colonies, there's regularized unauthorized colonies. They have not very good tenure security. They were made because of haphazard settlements and very rapid urbanization. Then we have urban villages that follow a slower pattern of urbanization, but they have a higher tenure security, but they're extremely congested with population. And then we have rural villages that are poor, but they're not as congested. Then we have shanty tenements and shanty tenements that were resettled or relocated. So the shanty tenements mostly have a very poor population, but in the case of the resettled ones, there is not overcrowding as of now. And then these both eventually turn out to be slums, maybe forever or for a period of time. And the slums have improved tenure security, especially if they're notified, which is when they are registered as a slum. The rest of the table you can go through to see the evolution process and the different types of infrastructure and the percentage of what comprises of the number of informal settlements in Delhi in the previous map that I showed you. Let's move forward. Here I have a bifurcation point diagram. It starts with the urbanization of villages in a given land that is pastoral or agricultural. Then it is either authorized or unauthorized based on the number of settlements that happen over there. If it's authorized, it's good to go. There's no legal action that needs to be taken, perhaps for a very long period of time. If it's unauthorized, it has two different ways to go. It can either be non-regularized or regularized. There is a difference between regularization and authorization. Authorization is just the first stamp that, okay, you exist. But regularization is, well, you now have to give taxes. Therefore, you're more in the social, socio-political, and economical realm of the city and the country. With bifurcation 3, we can have bifurcation 3.1 or 3.2. Therefore, there are two ways to drift. If you're non-regularized, you can either be a shanty tenement or a resettlement colony. If you are regularized, you can be resettled or a notified slum. If you're a shanty tenement, you can be a tenement cluster or urban housing, because when you're resettled, that's the maximum difference that's going to happen to your area, space, or house or dwelling in the particular city that we're in. With regularized ones, When you're a notified slum, you eventually go through a very long process of being regularized or turning into a city, but your the name of the place, or perhaps what the government identify the places as, is known as notified slum always. But if you're resettled, you can be either resettled in the city fabric, which is on the inside, where we saw a lot of red and dark orange colors in the map that I showed before, or you can be on the periphery of the city because there really wasn't enough space to relocate you in the city. Therefore, you're pushed outwards. For me personally, this is the most important bifurcation that is happening, because it really does change the borders of the city and the National Capital Territory with the different cities that it is joined with.